Hi, Kiki here, and today we're going to do a walkthrough of our newest tutorial, The Joy of Bubble Popping. To get to this tutorial, you'll want to navigate to aka.ms/bubbles. You'll see that this brings up some familiar faces that have been lent to us from Disney and Pixar's Inside Out 2 for a limited time. This is just a skin on top of our activity, so one day these characters will go away and you'll be left with your standard bubble popping game. For now though, I'm going to show you how to play this version. The first thing you'll see is the intro screen. You're welcome to close this and move on to the instructions. To the left here, you'll see our instructions panel. That's where you'll find all the directions for what you're supposed to do. In the middle, you'll see our toolbox. These contain the categories where each of our blocks lives. Finally, we have the workspace. And the workspace is where we will drag the blocks in order to build our game. You can see everything you've built by looking at our game window down here to the right. Clicking on this button expands the game window so that you can see what you've done nice and big. To get back to the tutorial, click the collapse button. Now we can get started. You'll see I've already done what it tells us to do in the first step, which is drag the create board block into the workspace. To get to the next step, I'll click the next button. This directs me to look at my game. It's very important to make sure that you're playing your game as you go. That way you know if there's any bugs. Let's add a memory bubble. Now it's time to give us a bubble to aim. So we're going to go into the bubble category. And if for any reason your students are having a hard time figuring out how to get there, you can also just click on the highlighted words and that will open the category you need. We're going to grab load new bubble and snap it in beneath the create board block. It is important that you put these blocks in order as listed in the instructions because these blocks are just function calls. We've written specific functions behind the scenes that abstract out a lot of the complexities and details, which allow us to make this amazing game in such a short amount of time. But they do depend on each other, so you want to make sure create board is first and load new bubble comes after. You'll see the bubble right down here, and it looks like we're ready to play. But when you test it out, nothing's happening. We still have a few steps to go. Also, pay attention to the clues. These clues give you extra bits of information. They aren't required to do the tutorial, but you might find them useful. Also, if you're not sure if you've completed the step correctly, we do have this light bulb down here that shows what your code should look like at the end of every step. Next, we're going to add some character. We'll do that by clicking on this Set My Sprite to Kind and find the block in here to drag to the bottom of the pile. If your students want to change their character, they can click on the one that's in there by default, go to the gallery, and they have a few others to choose from as well. I'm going to stick with Joy for this tutorial. But you'll see she's up a little bit high, and that ball's going to hit her if we let it go. So we need to move Joy. That's in the next step. Now it's time to move our sprite. We'll open the sprites category and click Set My Sprite Top to 102, and we'll drag that into the bottom of the stack. Notice that this is particularly important because we don't want to try to set the position of the sprite before we've created the sprite. So this should be the order that the blocks are listed in. Now that everything's on the screen, it's time to aim your shot. Let's go into the controller drawer and grab on right button repeat. That's going to allow us to change the angle to the right. But we can't change the angle to the left. That will happen in the next step. You can either drag out another block from the toolbox, or you can right-click on this one and choose Duplicate. You'll notice that the new block goes gray. That's because you can't have two events that do exactly the same thing. So instead, we're going to change this to on left. We'll change the angle left, and now you see everything is functional again. Give it a try. Beautiful! Now it's time to be able to toss the ball. To do that, we'll click on Controller to open the controller drawer and grab on A button, press Toss Bubble. Let's give it a shot. Oh, that went sliding. That's not what that's supposed to do. In order to make the memory bubbles stick, we need to tell them to stay where they are when they hit the rest of the bubbles. To do that, we'll open this Scene category and grab on sprite of kind bubble hits wall at location and drag that into the workspace. Now you'll see when a sprite of kind bubble hits the wall at a location, that sprite will stick to that location. Let's try it again. Perfect! But I'm out of bubbles. Let's fix that. We need to load a new bubble every time we toss the old one. That means we're going to find where we tossed the old bubble, and we're going to load a new bubble right after we're done. Let's try it again. It works! And that's it. That's all you need to do for your class to make a working bubble pop game for CS Education Week. I hope you had a great time and can't wait to see your games. Until next time, happy coding.